Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cascadia Inswinger. I'm Eddie Smith with my co-host John Floresca, and it is the finals. We're talking another finals in Cascadia. John, I know you're excited for this one.
I am very excited. I'm so glad that Portland was able to make it through so we get another show in before this tournament is over. They will be facing Orlando City. Technically, they're the host club. I don't know if there's such thing as a host club without fans in the stands, but it'll be a great match. We need to review the semifinals before we get there, though.
Yes, for sure. And what an interesting semifinal. And I do have to note, I would have been right on my prediction if Santos didn't just completely blow his first chance at getting a PK goal in his professional career.
Yes, it would have been 2-2 if he made that goal. Luckily for Portland and happily for us, he botched that, and Portland ended up winning this game 2-1. Portland was able to find two goals, one from a Bobasi, the other one from Blanco, both off of corner kicks from Mr. Diego Valeri, who had 2 assists in this game. So Portland got the job done. They're playing typical Portland soccer, and here they are in their third final in 5 years.
Definitely Valeri is showing that age is not an issue for him, still continuing to produce. The one thing I'm thinking about is Abobasi didn't continue his assist streak through this game. I thought that was a little interesting. Though do you make up for it by scoring a goal?
You mean Blanco didn't continue his assist streak? Blanco had an assist in every
Blanco.
Right.
Sorry, Blanco.
I think when you have the game-winning goal, you definitely make up for the fact that you didn't continue your assist streak. And he is definitely on pace to be the MVP of this tournament should Portland win the final. Blanco is playing absolutely out of his mind, and rightfully so. The guy is, he wears the number 10 jersey for a reason for Portland, and I'm very excited to see him play in this final.
Yeah, it will definitely be a good final for us to start talking about here. Should we get right to the final, or do you want to still talk about this recap?
Well, other than Philly's botched PK, they scored late in the game to make it interesting, but I felt like Portland had control of the match throughout the whole thing. I never really felt like they were going to lose it. Other than that, there's not much else to say. So, what are your thoughts on Orlando City going into this final?
Well, let's get right into this one then. I was actually very surprised about Orlando even making it this far. I think Orlando surprised everyone in this tournament because they were definitely an underdog. I would have put all my money on Minnesota getting through to the final, but that's not the case. Orlando ended up beating Minnesota 3-1, and so it'll be Orlando versus Portland. Some key guys that are going to be in this match for Orlando that Portland's going to have to watch out for. Nani, he scored 2 goals in the last match. He's definitely going to be one to keep an eye out for. And Perea, who's another DP for Orlando, he's also going to be roaming around the midfield. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, Orlando has the prestige player of the tournament with Nani. For those of you who are unfamiliar with his background, he played for Manchester United for several years. He's played in Europa League. He's played in UEFA finals with Portugal. He has all the international prestige that you could want from a player. He is their veteran leadership on this Orlando side. A lot of the young players on Orlando are crediting him with the mentality to win this tournament, and that he has been their leader, and he's proved it by his vocal leadership and by scoring goals. His 2 goals in the last match against Minnesota were class, absolute class, and the signs of somebody who knows how to win big games. It's going to be fun to watch him and Blanco go back and forth for this one, because I think whoever has the better game between the two of them is going to end up winning in this tournament. This is not the final that I wanted to see. I much rather would have seen Minnesota. I would have loved to see Diego Chara versus Ozzy Alonso. I know how many times we've seen that clash. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that. Orlando City plays a very similar style to Portland. And I know I was reading MLS's reviews of the game or previews of the game, and they were saying that they mirror each other, which will make for, I think, a slow start to the game as both teams kind of feel each other out. But I definitely think with both teams playing a counter-attacking style, that the game will open up probably around the 30th minute. And that's when it'll get really exciting.
Yeah, it'll definitely be one to have both teams feeling each other out. That's kind of normal for tournament play. When it's a one-off match, you don't want to do anything to screw up and then all of a sudden be down 1 or 2 goals um, right off the bat. So going into this, Orlando does lead the series against Portland with 3 wins, 1 draw, one loss. So I'm wondering, does that take effect in this match, even though there's not going to be any fans in the stands? And also the fact that Portland has been in Orlando for long enough that they have gotten acclimated to the weather and the time zone.
Yeah, I think when it comes to a final, all bets are off. You can't take any of the past results or any of the past games into account. You also need to factor in that this Orlando squad is very different because they have a new coach, first-year coach, Oscar Pereira, who came from Dallas, was a very successful coach out of Dallas. He and Savarese have only played each other one time or twice, and both times they drew, and that was when he was with Dallas. So that being said, these coaches, they're looking for their first wins against each other. The other thing that we need to remember is that this Orlando City side has never made a tournament final. Orlando City has never been in an Open Cup final, in an MLS final. They've never qualified for the playoffs. So the only person with any real big game experience is Nani versus Portland. You know, Portland was an MLS Cup a couple years ago against Atlanta. So those players know what big games feel like. Now, will this necessarily feel like a big game without the fans? I don't know. I'd have to talk to any of the professional players to see what their feel is without fans. Either way you look at it, the experience definitely favors Portland.
Speaking of this being a final, there is a little bit on the line for both clubs, as there is a CCL spot, CONCACAF Champions League spot on the line. From what we've gathered, this is essentially taking over the U.S. Open Cup spot for CONCACAF Champions League. So there is quite a bit to play for with trying to move on into the regional tournament.
Yes, and I know that both of these clubs are vying for that spot. You want to play in the Champions League. You want to get there. I think Orlando has a little bit more pressure on their shoulders because they know that once it comes to MLS Cup, it's going to be a lot harder for them to win that tournament. So this may be their best shot at a Champions League appearance. Portland, I think, is going to be very competitive come the regular season. So for them, this isn't necessarily their last chance. In the end, I do think Portland has enough to get the W in this game. I do think Portland's going to win. They're going to claim that spot. And I got them winning this game by a scoreline of 2-1.
All right. Well, also, Portland does have one player out. He is questionable, Yimi Chara. He is a bench player, but we'll see if he is available for the club when this match does come around. But I don't think whether he's on the roster or not is going to make a difference in this match. I do feel like the Portland side is going to get the victory in this one. I'm going to say that Portland's going to get a little bit more of a win out of this one with getting 3 goals, and I think they're going to win 3-0.
3-0, shutting out Orlando City. I do have an X Factor player for Orlando City to watch, one that can blow up this game, blow up my conception of who wins this game, and that is Ruan, who is the right back for Orlando City. Speedster, he basically has one goal in mind, and that's to get the ball and get to the end line and cross it back in. If he finds success in that against Portland, then Orlando could surprise me with a couple goals in there that I wasn't expecting, and they could win this one. So expect that to be my X factor in this game.
My thoughts with this are just the fact that Portland has been in a few finals where Orlando has not. So Portland knows how to get prepared for something like this, where there's a lot of inexperience with Orlando, and so that's my factor of why I'm taking the scoreline I am. Maybe Orlando gets one goal, but that's about it.
Well, we will be watching to find out on Tuesday, August 11th. That match starts at 8:30 Eastern Time or 5:30 Pacific, and you can watch it on ESPN. So I know I'll be watching it. Eddie, are you off work? Are you able to watch it?
Oh, I'll be watching it.
All right. To all our fans out there, please like and subscribe and continue to follow Cascadia Inswinger, and go Cascadia.